Now, if you're thinking of buying a home or making a move to Tampa's most popular suburb, Westchase, Florida, and why wouldn't you think about doing that, then you're going to want to watch this video because I'm going to break down the pros and the cons. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of what it's like to live in Westchase as someone who's been selling homes there for the last 20 years and has a serious amount of FOMO about not living there. So let's dive right into the content of the video. Okay, guys, now like I said, I've been selling homes in the Westchase area of Florida for about 20 years now. And when I first moved here 20 years ago, it's the area that I really wanted to move in. I looked up and down, high and low for a place to live, but unfortunately it was just out of my budget. But every single time I go back there, I'm just like, oh my God, this place is so awesome. I wish I could have done it back then. So I have the FOMO. But of course, nowhere's perfect. And so I want to break down the pros and the cons to give you a balanced view so you can decide if it's the best decision for you. Now, let's start off with pro number one, which is the location. It's pretty much the closest suburb to Tampa, and the location is absolutely unbeatable. So the location is just northwest of Tampa, off of the 589 Suncoast Toll Road, off of exit 8 and 9 by Lime Bar, and so it's really only about a 15-minute journey to Tampa Airport. So if you're somebody that wants to use the airport a lot or commutes out of town for work, this is going to be an unbeatable location for you. But it's also beneficial for a number of other reasons. So that Suncoast Toll Road basically turns into Kennedy Boulevard and gives you easy access to downtown Tampa in about 25 to 30 minutes. And because it's north and west of downtown Tampa, it's also a little bit closer to the coast and to the Gulf. So it's a great jumping off point for somewhere like Tarpon Springs or even Dunedin if you want to get down to the waterfront. So it really checks off a ton of the boxes. It's why it's been voted the #1 suburb in all of Florida to live in by Niche, and it's why it's probably high up on your radar of places to check out in the Tampa Bay area. Now compare this to some of the other really popular suburbs like Wesley Chapel, which is about an hour away from the beaches. You can start to see why Westchase is huge in popularity with people who want to be close to Tampa but not necessarily there, and it's a great jumping off point, like I said, for all of the great places around it. Now, number two for pros is going to be the walkability of the whole area. So if you're familiar with Florida, you'll know that unless you're in a metro area like downtown Tampa, or if you're in Orlando or Miami, not many places are going to be walkable. It's kind of like strip mall after strip mall with little gated communities and residential areas popped up all over the place. Well, Westchase really broke the mold when they developed this community back in the 1990s, and they have not one but two walkable areas down there. So West Park Village is kind of like the downtown of Westchase, if you want to call it that, where there's a little main strip that runs through and goes into this beautiful like town square area that wraps around. But it has some stores and fantastic restaurants and little boutique places along that strip there, and it's a beautiful place to take a walk around, stop and have a drink outside in the sun, and then stroll around that little town square area that I mentioned. So that would be the first one. And then more recently, they've built another beautiful little section where they have a ton more restaurants, a world of beers. They have a great burger place there as well. So definitely worth checking that out. And it gives it a really vibrant feel, and it saves you from having to travel into Tampa to enjoy some of the trappings that might not be in some of the other suburbs. So the walkability is fantastic. It's really easy to navigate around. It's really one of the things that drew me there in the first place because I was so used to that in England, and I think it's something that you will love. Now, number three for the pros is because it is that little bit closer to Tampa, it has some of the things, again, like I just mentioned, that some of the other suburbs are not going to have. So I'm thinking about not just the array of restaurants and grocery stores, but also the professional services that are around there. And of course, it's only a few miles from Citrus Park Mall and the great new Elevate Fun Center that's there as well. So even just a couple of minutes outside of Westchase, you have a Costco and a Sprouts, which are my two favorite stores to go food shopping at. And like I said, every single restaurant that's even conceivable is right on your doorstep. But where it really separates itself is for people that either want to have activities to do or to go to a large shopping mall. So like I said, Citrus Park has you covered there. Really only Wesley Chapel is the other suburb that has anything that's comparable to that. And then, like I said, the Elevate Fun Center is really a great addition over the last few years with go-karts, putt-putt, rope course, arcades. It's a great facility for kids and for the young at heart. Definitely worth checking out. And like I said, only a few miles away from Westchase. Now, the next pro I'm gonna give you is that because the community is a little bit more established and a little bit older, it was built back in the 90s, it has a certain maturity in the feel about it that, again, some of the newer suburbs don't have. So I'm thinking of some of the beautiful, mature landscaping that isn't like the surface of the moon cleared off with a couple of trees stuck in there. It really has a finished and natural developed feel to it. So not only as you're driving in through Limebore when the crepe myrtles are in bloom, and that's just a gorgeous, gorgeous drive into Westchase, but even as you get into some of the other villages, the landscaping there and the trees just feel much more mature than a lot of the other suburbs, like I mentioned, and it really has a kind of natural feel to it. It doesn't feel manufactured because it's been there for the last 30 or so years. So again, that's a feel that I love, definitely a pro in my opinion. Hey guys, so if you're finding value in this video, please do a couple of things. First of all, comment below, let me know what you love about Westchase so far, or what you don't like about Westchase. Then be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and like the video. That way, what will happen is every time we release any new videos about the pros and cons, cost of living, everything you need to know in any of the Tampa Bay suburbs, you'll be the first to be alerted. But we also do new construction and home tours, so you'll get those as well. And like I said, there's no stupid questions. Please reach out in the comments below, call us, text us, email us. I answer all of those comments personally. There's no assistant or no AI. It's really me. And we love helping folks like you from the YouTube channel. Don't tell anyone, but you guys are my favorite customers. Anyway, I won't oversell it. I want to get right back into the content because there's so much to cover here. Now, the next pro I want to give you, and one that kind of ties into why I ended up in Brooksville in the end, is that there's always something going on there as well. It really has its own little community feel. And so we've just gone through Easter. They had an awesome community Easter egg hunt there. They have a ton of food truck events there as well, where they get them all together in that little area. It's a really great gathering. And then they have the Great Westchase, which is a really cool fun run. So always events going on in that community. It really has, like I said, its own little kind of insular feel to it in a good way, and a real sense of community that you're not going to find in some of the other suburbs as well. The next pro I want to go into is the diversity of the homes in there. So you might feel with Westchase being a little compacted and a kind of small-ish area compared to some of the other suburbs, that maybe there's not a variety in the homes. But the truth is it has more variety than just about any of the other suburbs. So I'm thinking condos, townhomes, villa homes, single family homes, gated areas, non-gated areas, golf course lots, and mega mansions. They have just about everything there. And what that does is it really opens it up to a whole group of people at basically every single stage in your life. Now, when I looked to move there in 2005, I was a single guy, fresh in the country, so I was looking for a 2-bedroom condo. But let's just say I did move there, then it would be really easy for me to move on up as I got married into a townhome or one of the villa homes, and then into a single family once I had kids. So if you love Westchase, there's a home for every stage and every budget in there as well. It's one of the things that makes it so popular and so accessible for people. Now, the next pro I want to talk about is the CDD fee. Now, that might be a con for most of you, but again, because this community was developed back in the 90s, the CDD fee there is much lower than the new communities that are popping up. So when you compare it to somewhere like Wesley Chapel, where your CDD fee may be $3,000, $3,500 a year, the fact that Westchase is so established, again, is a huge benefit for you, because although CDDs were fairly new back then, the cost of the CDD was significantly lower. So you could be looking at conceivably half or a third of the amount of the CDD fee as you are in some of these new developments. Now, the next pro is that Westchase is basically completely built out at this point. So there's not going to be a whole bunch of construction going on around you like there may be in Odessa or in Wesley Chapel again. So again, just that kind of peaceful day-to-day life of not driving through construction zones, having to go through extra traffic all the time. And then the other benefit of it, of course, is that you know what's there. You can see it, feel it, and touch it, and there's no surprises around the corner. So it's not like they're going to rezone somewhere where there was supposed to be 500 single-family homes and all of a sudden go and put 5,000 apartments in there and change the whole dynamic of where you're living. It's another huge appeal of Westchase, and one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention. And then the last two pros that I want to give you, and I've already alluded to both of these before, so I'll keep it short and sweet. But one is that Costco and Sprouts are right on the doorstep. Enough said as far as I'm concerned. And then the last one I want to give you is that it really just has a whole different vibe down there. It's really difficult to explain in this video, so I apologize, and I know that sounds very, very vague, but I would encourage you to go check it out and you will see what I mean by it. There's nowhere else I can think of in any other suburb of Tampa where I've experienced the same sort of vibe as it has in Westchase. And I hate that word because my kids use it and I always ridicule them all the time, but in this case, I really do think it applies. Hey guys, what's going on? Ross Hardy from the Living in Spring Hill, Florida YouTube channel, and as you already know, I'm a real estate expert selling homes in the Tampa Bay area for the last 20 years. So if you're 9 days or 99 days away from making the move and you want to know which Tampa suburb might be the best for you, be sure to watch our videos, but also reach out to us in the comments or give us a call, text, or an email at the information below. We would love to help you. We help hundreds of families every single year make the move that you're considering, and we're experts in the area. Let's get right back into the video. All right, guys. Now, at the moment, you're probably thinking, well, Westchase is a dream. Where do I sign up for this place? But hold your horses, because like I said, not everywhere is rainbow and unicorns. There are some cons to living in Westchase, Florida as well. So let me go into those and see if it changes your mind any. Now, the number one con that really jumps out at me, and especially as we see these new suburbs and new communities being developed, and I'm thinking of Epperson Lagoon in Wesley Chapel, where they have this gorgeous 7.5-acre man-made lagoon that's like a resort place, or even somewhere like Starkey Ranch, where they have these awesome amenities and facilities built into them. Westchase has kind of been left behind a little bit with that. And that's no surprise because it was built in the 90s where those amenities weren't really a big deal back then. But of course, as we go on in time, everything gets bigger and better and everyone's trying to outdo each other. So although Westchase has a couple of community pools and some tennis courts, it has the community park area, and it does have some of the amenities, it's nowhere near on a level with some of these new communities that they're building, like Angeline and Epperson and a lot of the Metro Lagoon places. So just bear that in mind. It might not be a big deal to you, but it certainly is one of the things that jumps out to me as a real estate agent who gets to tour all of these awesome communities day in, day out. Now, the number two con, because it is the best suburb to live in all of Florida, is going to be the home prices. It's always really, really high in demand there, and there never seem to be quite enough homes to fulfill it. So the prices are always kept really, really high. And when you compare it to some of the other suburbs in Tampa, the average and the median prices there are way higher. So it may not look too bad when you first take a glance at it, because the average price is $570,000. But you have to imagine that also includes the townhomes, condos, and villa homes. And when you break it out into single family homes only, the average price point is really going to be around $700,000. So it's much higher than Wesley Chapel at say $425,000, $435,000, and even higher than Odessa and Trinity at just over $500,000, which are on the higher end of things. So of all of the suburbs that we work in, it's the most expensive. However, I do believe it's the best, so way up value for money there, but that's certainly a con for people. Now, con number three is going to be because it was developed back in the 90s predominantly, the homes in there are older, and certainly the feel of them in many, many cases is that they are a little bit more dated. So we all know that the new trend is that white cabinets with white countertops and that very kind of stark and clean look. A lot of the homes in Westchase are not going to have those features unless they've been remodeled, which is going to put them into a different price category again. So there is more of a dated feel in general to the homes in there. You know, even little things like the gold faucets and knobs rather than the dark ones that we see nowadays. It can feel a little dated, and there may be some projects for you to do over and above what you would do in some of the other suburbs. And then the flip side of that, of course, as well, is that there is no new construction there. So it's not even like you can go out and choose to build a new home in Westchase where you can in some of these other areas where you can totally customize the home to your liking. So just bear that in mind. There are some gorgeous, gorgeous homes there, no doubt, but they may be a little more dated than some of the other suburbs you might be looking at. Now, con number four, and this is not just solely with Westchase, it's a lot of the new suburbs that are popping up, but the traffic there, particularly at peak times, gets pretty busy. Now, I was down in Westchase a couple of weeks ago. I was filming some video down there, getting some B-roll. I stopped off and got some lunch, and the problem is when I was trying to get to that little downtown area was right as the schools were letting out, and it took me about 3 sets of lights to even make it through the turn. So definitely there are some traffic issues there at peak times. Again, is it as bad as Wesley Chapel? Probably not. Certainly not as bad as downtown Tampa, but relative to a lot of the other suburbs, it's going to be worse than what you would experience in those areas. So again, the popularity is great, but because it is a little bit tighter in there, the traffic can be a little bit worse, particularly getting out off of Lime Bar. And then the other thing is some of the major roads that run through there are used as cut-throughs to get to other areas as well. So Racetrack, for example, is a really good cut-through road that I'm guilty of using as well. So just be aware it's not just the traffic from Westchase, which is going to be in there, it's people using it to cut through and shortcut to other areas. Now the next con number 5, is going to be the schools. And I just want to preface this correctly because the schools in Westchase are fantastic. It's what the whole community was built upon back in the day, and they still maintain really good grades and very high scores. However, a lot of the newer suburbs have kind of caught up, and some would say overtaken Westchase when it comes to the level of the schools. So again, I'm thinking of Lutz, I'm thinking of Wesley Chapel, where those schools are arguably better than the ones in Westchase now. So it's not that you're going to be disappointed with the schools in Westchase. There are some great public options, there are some great private options, but I do think that some of the other suburbs have excelled and gone beyond Westchase now. So if the absolute best of the best schools are what you're looking for, Westchase might not be the place that you settle on. Now, as always, I would recommend you to check out great schools and to check out niche and do your own research. And like I said, there's certainly no slouches. You're not going to be disappointed with them, I don't think, but compare them to other areas and see which one works best for you. And then the final con is going to be the general cost of living there. So we already spoke about the home prices, but there's more to go on top of that as well. So the average cost of living there is about 4% higher than the national average and about 2% higher than the state average. However, I want to make it clear that those costs are likely to get even higher. One, because of insurance costs with the hurricanes that just came through the Tampa Bay area at the end of last year. And then two, there was just a report released the other day that Tampa Bay has seen the highest increase of general grocery costs of anywhere in the mainland US. So when they reevaluate these numbers, the disparity between the national and state average is likely to be even higher than it is today. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the pros and cons of living in Westchase, Florida, my favorite suburb of Tampa. What do you think? Is it somewhere for you or not? Now, like I said, I hope you got value from this video. Please like the video and comment below. Now be sure to give us a call, text, or email if you're thinking of making Westchase your next home or any of the suburbs north of Tampa. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them. Or if you want a free list of homes in your price point and desired areas, we can send you those as well. We're real estate experts. We're here to help you in the background when you don't need us and right on the other end of the phone when you do. Please be sure to check out our other content on the suburbs of Tampa, Florida. Until next time, we can't wait to show you around town. I'm Ross Hardy from the Hardy team. It's time to love where you live.